Hello and welcome to the Gigaspace's live demo of Smart DIH. In this demo, we'll show how Smart DIH integrates seamlessly with Boomi, overcoming common architecture challenges such as limited availability, low system performance, and lack of scalability, helping you unleash the full potential of your iPaaS. We will demonstrate this synergy by creating a new event-driven flow. The example we're about to see is of MotorSafe, a fictitious auto insurance company based in the UK. MotorSafe uses Smart DIH on top of its Boomi iPaaS to create a new event-driven flow for renewing vehicle insurance policies in just seconds. Usually, shortly before a policy is about to expire, an automated flow triggers the renewal process. In our case, we'll manually activate this flow by changing the status of the policy in the database to renewal. This will initiate a CDC update to the Smart DIH. Once the policy is updated, it will trigger a service that was previously deployed in the Smart DIH. This service creates a duplicate policy with the status Offer, resetting the original policy status to Contract. It then sends the new policy out as a Kafka message. Next, a Boomi Kafka listener picks up the message from the topic and initiates a Boomi flow process, which triggers an email notification to the policy owner. This customer may accept the policy as is. Alternatively, he or she can choose to edit the policy's parameters, resulting in an instant recalculation of the policy price. Once the offer is accepted, the Boomi flow will write the policy back to the database, which in turn will be automatically updated in the Smart DIH through the data pipeline and its CDC connector. The Boomi flow will also update this customer's account on Salesforce to close the business loop. Obviously, the customer can also choose to reject the offer. While we're not going to show this path in this demo, you can imagine how this rejection triggers a task for a sales rep to contact the customer and understand their reservations. All clear? Let's see this in action. Before starting this process, let's take a look at SpaceDeck, the Smart DIH Management and Control Console. We see that there are two spaces available in this environment. The Smart DIH hosting layer is built over the Gigaspace's in-memory data grid, or IMDG. An instance of this IMDG is called a space. For simplicity, you can think of it as a database schema, although it really is an object store with many additional capabilities rather than a relational database. Let's go to the Data Query screen and see what policies are available for our particular customer. Keep in mind that although the space is a NoSQL data store, it exposes an SQL interface, which we'll use for this query. The query result shows that the customer we've queried has just one insurance policy. Now let's go to the MS SQL server where our insurance company manages all its policies. To do so, we'll use dbeaver, a commonly used open-source database tool. Here is the policy that we've just queried. Let's update its status to Renewal to initiate the process of creating a new event flow. If we switch back to SpaceDeck and hit Run Query, a new policy appears under the same customer that we've previously seen, with an offer status. Time to go to the Boomi flow and see how this database change triggers a new event. Boomi flow lets you build new business applications. In our case, we want to send out an email notification to customers whose insurance policy is about to expire and offer them a personalized discount. We can see this email right here. It's coming out of the insurance company and contains policy details, customer identifiers, and any additional driver associated with this policy. All this data is coming directly from the Gigaspace's Smart DIH. What's really cool about this interface is that it combines customer data coming from multiple back-end systems and is fully event-enabled. We're getting all this data by querying just one interface, Smart DIH, without having to worry about working with all the different databases that store this data. The way we actually pull this data out is through another Boomi integration, as we can see here. We get a call from Boomi Flow, connect it to the Smart DIH to pull out this data, and then map it over with the data required in the flow. You might wonder how these user interfaces are built. The answer is that it's a feature of the Boomi Flow, shown here. It may look similar to the integration flow that we've just seen, but this flow is not about building the business logic, but rather the entire campaign flow, including all the components that customers can see and interact with, such as web pages, emails, and CTAs. Just like everything else on the Boomi platform, everything you see here is built using a no-code, low-code framework. If we zoom in to the policy details component, we can see the renewal email that was just sent out, in which every component is fully editable. If we want to add any new component or field, we simply drag and drop it. It's as simple as that. Obviously, this policy renewal email carries a clear call to action to accept the offer. However, the customer may interact with it and modify the offer and get a discount in real time, as we can see here. The original offer is for £230, but once the customer applies for a low mileage discount, the price instantly drops by almost £70. Okay, but what's happening behind the scenes to enable this real-time discount? Let's take a look. The interactive form pulls data directly from Smart DIH via the Boomi flow. The relevant data building up this offer can stem from a combination of sources and databases, such as CRM or ERP systems, or even SAP or a legacy mainframe. No matter which sources the data is coming from, it is aggregated into the Smart DIH and served to the Boomi flow, powering this interactive real-time experience. From Boomi's perspective, it really doesn't matter where this data originates from, since it's all served from Smart DIH as fresh data in a unified format. At this point, the customer can keep modifying the policy, accept the offer, or decline it, which will trigger a call by a customer service rep. Let's assume our customer is happy with the 30% discount they just got and accepts this offer. This action sends data to multiple different flows. With Boomi, all integrations have many capabilities. What this means is that the input on the approval of this particular customer's renewal policy is sent not just to the Smart DIH, but is also updated in the insurance company's customer database, as well as on Salesforce. In our example, this is the update flow we use. We start by getting our data from the Boomi front end. Then we update the Smart DIH, pull out the latest customer data from Smart DIH before updating Salesforce, and finally run a process of updating the customer database itself. Just to prove that it all worked out the way we wanted it, let's go back to the renewal template, hit the Salesforce link, and see that this customer, Jackie Pawar, has just renewed her policy. It's all right here. If we dive into the back-end customer database, we can see that this customer has an active contract. If we then go back into Smart DIH, we can see that the status of this customer has been updated from offer to contract, with a 30% discount applied to the original price. This pretty much concludes our policy renewal story. Ready to take a deep dive into Smart DIH to understand how we're able to move data around and make it so accessible for business applications? In the scenario we've just seen, we used a service that was triggered by an event, exposing data into Kafka as an additional event. Smart DIH can also expose data through APIs. Let's see how this is done. For this purpose, we'll use the last SQL query we ran against the space. We'll start by replacing the customer ID with a parameter. Once we use the $, we can test our query with a specific value. Let's type in the customer ID used in our policy renewal story to ensure we receive the same results. And indeed we do. Okay, now let's deploy that query as a service. We'll add a few required parameters, hit deploy, and there you go. We now have an active service exposing an API endpoint. On the screen, we get that endpoint with our test value. Great! Now let's click it and verify that we receive the same results as we did when querying the space directly. And now, let's use another customer ID as input to verify that this API is valid for any value. Time to go deeper behind the curtain. Remember how changes made at the source were immediately reflected on the Smart DIH? This was done using the CDC-enabled data pipeline. Let's see just how easy it is to configure such a pipeline. If you recall, in our policy renewal story, a business logic was implemented to the Boomi flow for calculating a discount. Now what if we want to enhance that logic and include additional risk factors that can impact this discount, such as the safety level of our customer's car model? Here's the catch: this information is managed on DB2, unlike the policies that were managed on an MS SQL server. We can bridge this gap by simply defining a new pipeline coming out of DB2. We start by setting up this connection. First, we define a data source. A data source is a logical representation of the connection to the actual source. We'll add the required parameters and hit Save Connection. Now that this connection is defined, we'll use it to create a new data pipeline. We'll give it a name and select its target space. Next, we select a connector type. In our case, we'll use IIDR, which stands for IBM InfoSphere Data Replication. IIDR is a CDC connector that is an integrated part of the Smart DIH solution. CDC-based data pipelines use Kafka as an intermediary event stream area, so we'll identify the Kafka topic available for this pipeline and save our work. Now that the DB2 pipeline has been established, we will further customize it to extract just the table we need to add inputs on the safety level of different vehicle models. And here's the table we're looking for. Demo Safety Rating. We can choose specific columns from this table, or just bring in the entire table. We're now ready to start the pipeline. We want to make sure that our initial load brings all the data in, so we select the option Earliest as our CDC offset strategy. For the sake of this demo, we have only 2 records in our table, representing 2 car models. We can now see that 2 operations were executed through our new pipeline, 1 per record. If we go back to the data query screen and look into the Smart DIH replica of that table, we can see the data of those 2 records. You can guess how the story goes from here. The data on each vehicle safety rating is exposed through either an API or as events, impacting the final policy price that MotorSafe can offer each of its customers. With this simple process that we've just shown, more datasets can be added to further customize and personalize each policy. This enables enterprises to not only deliver a better digital experience, but also create new flows as business conditions evolve, and do so quicker and more agile than ever before. That's it for now. To learn more, go to gigaspaces.com.